Thanks very much. Mr. Donna Hugh, what is the maximum number of lawyers that you have supervised in your experience as an associate in a law firm?
Thank you for your question, Senator. It varies, but it was typically anywhere from 6, usually 8, up to 10 with summer associates as well.
All lawyers?
Not all lawyers, including summer associates.
Okay. What was the maximum number of lawyers you supervised in your job at the solar company?
None, Senator. Not at the solar company.
In your work as an associate in the Buffalo law firm, did you hold yourself out as an environmental attorney?
As an environmental lawyer, I did.
You spent 1 year and 6 months practicing law for that firm in Buffalo, correct?
Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. This is Freedom Forge, where we stand for freedom, the Constitution, and good old-fashioned American common sense. Today, I want to talk about something that should concern every taxpayer and every patriot in this country. The absolute clown show we just witnessed in the Senate during the hearing for Biden's EPA nominee, Mr. Donna Hugh. You want to talk about unqualified bureaucrats? Buckle up, because this is a masterclass in how the left is stacking our government with people who have no business wielding power over your life, your job, or your freedom.
I was located in that firm in Buffalo, yes, Senator.
Yeah. And you were terminated by that firm after 1 year and 6 months?
That is correct, Senator. If I may just add some color to that.
Well, I have pretty short time, so we can follow up with QFRs, because I promise you there'll be QFRs
Understood.
on this. Have you practiced law anywhere else other than that as an associate in the firm that terminated you and in the solar company where you supervised no lawyers?
Senator, I have not.
Apart from your associate experience in Buffalo and the solar company, have you practiced law in any other place?
I have not, Senator, but I was at the agency before in the first Trump administration.
Not in a legal position?
That's correct, Senator.
Have you ever taken a deposition?
I have not, Senator. This is probably the closest I've ever come to that.
Have you ever tried a case to verdict?
No, Senator. In the firm and at the solar company, we relied on, in the solar company, we relied on outside counsel.
So you were providing inside advice at the solar council rather than active litigation work?
It was an in-house counsel role, yes. But
Yep. Have you ever argued a motion?
I have not, Senator.
Court?
But as
You know what a motion in limine is?
I do vaguely, yes.
Well, you should have been better prepped, because John Kennedy asks this question.
Yes.
Have you ever authored and signed a legal pleading?
I have not, Senator. But
There was a gap of several years between your graduation from law school and when you entered the bar in Washington, D.C. During that period, did you take the bar and fail to pass?
I did one time, Senator, yes, but
In
there
what
was
jurisdiction?
What, sorry?
In what jurisdiction did you take the bar and
Washington,
fail to
D.C.,
pass?
Senator, but there was a gap before I actually took the bar. I wasn't sure if I actually wanted to go and practice law, to be frank with you.
Under what circumstances would you counsel the EPA administrator to violate a court order?
Senator, thank you for that. I would never counsel the EPA administrator to violate a court order.
Under oath, can you assure us now that EPA is presently in compliance with the federal court decisions by Judge Ali Khan and Judge McConnell right now?
Senator, I believe that the agency is.
When a public official makes public accusations of criminal activity with no credible evidence to support the accusations, what legal liabilities and concerns does that raise?
Senator, as you mentioned in opening, potentially defamation, that sort of thing. But I'm not a criminal investigator. I'm not at the Department of Justice. I don't handle the various aspects of that criminal probe, so I'm not privy to that information.
There is an internal memorandum out of the agency's counsel office that relates that a significant number of grants were terminated based on a significant error, agency's words, in the terms and conditions for those grants. As the Washington Post reported today, an agency lawyer warned officials that they had cited contractual language that did not apply to many of the grants the EPA had ended in recent weeks. Grants had been terminated on grounds that they no longer fit the agency's priorities, referring to a clause in their grants' general terms and conditions that applied only to grants issued between August 13, 2020 and September 30, 2024, and almost half of the terminated grants were finalized outside of that relevant period. Have the grants impacted by this significant legal error been restored to the recipients?
Senator, I've seen the reporting on that. We received your letter, in fact, 2 letters yesterday on this. I was not on that email. I think it was an email, not a memorandum, but I think we're working to track an answer down for you on that.
My time has expired.
Let's break down what we just saw. Senator Whitehouse, not exactly a bastion of conservative values, was grilling Mr. Donna Hugh about his qualifications to be a top EPA lawyer. And folks, even Whitehouse couldn't hide his disbelief. How many lawyers have you supervised? Oh, 6 to 10, sometimes with summer associates. Have you ever taken a deposition, tried a case to verdict, argued a motion, signed a legal pleading? Every answer, no, Senator. No, Senator. No, Senator. Let me get this straight. The man Biden wants to help run the EPA's legal department, an agency that has more power over American businesses and property rights than most people realize, has never even tried a case, never taken a deposition, never argued a motion in court. Folks, I know lawyers just out of law school with more courtroom experience than this guy. Heck, there are probably paralegals in Buffalo with more real-world legal chops. But it gets worse. He admits, under oath, that after law school, he didn't even know if he wanted to practice law. He failed the bar the first time around and only finally got admitted in D.C. after a gap. I don't care if you fail the bar. It happens. What matters is, did you actually practice law? Did you fight for clients? Did you build any real expertise? In this case, the answer is a resounding no. Now, let's talk about what this means for the EPA. This is the same agency that's been weaponized by the left for decades. The same agency that tried to tell a family in Idaho they couldn't build a home on their own property because of some puddle they called a wetland. The same EPA that wants to regulate every drop of water, every breath you take, every cow that farts in the name of climate justice. And Biden's nominee to help run this agency? The best he can say is he once supervised a handful of summer associates before getting fired from a Buffalo law firm. Are you kidding me? Now, Senator Whitehouse actually asked a few good questions. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. He asked if this guy would ever counsel the EPA to violate a court order. Mr. Donna Hugh says never, Senator. Well, that's the bare minimum, pal. We're not looking for people who say they'll follow the law. We need people who know the law, who've actually fought in the trenches, who understand what it means to defend the Constitution, not shred it. And then we get to the latest scandal, the EPA terminating grants because someone misread the fine print. An internal memo says there was a significant legal error, and almost half the grants were axed based on language that didn't even apply. Did they fix it? Are those grants restored to the rightful recipients? Our nominee doesn't know. He's not even on the email chain. He's just working to track down an answer. This is the problem, folks. The left doesn't care about experience or merit or accountability. They want loyalists. They want yes men. They want people who will rubber stamp their radical agenda, no questions asked. Let's be real. The EPA has become a sledgehammer for the left's war on American energy, American agriculture, and American innovation. The only thing standing between you and the Green New Deal is a handful of judges and the Constitution. And if we put people like Donna Hugh in charge, that wall is coming down fast. If you think I'm exaggerating, just look at what's happening in Europe. Energy prices through the roof, farmers protesting in the streets, rolling blackouts. That's what happens when bureaucrats with no real-world experience are allowed to run amok. Here's my message to every senator. Do your job. Demand real qualifications. Demand accountability. Stop confirming people just because they check the right political boxes. To my fellow patriots, stay vigilant. These hearings matter. The people who control the EPA control your land, your energy bills, your freedom. Share this video. Call your senators. Tell them we want real public servants, not political hacks. And to the Biden administration, stop playing games with America's future. Our country deserves better. That's it for today, folks. If you agree, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Do you trust the EPA with unqualified leadership? Or do you want real people with real experience defending your rights and your freedoms? This is Freedom Forge, signing off for liberty, for the Constitution, and for the United States of America. God bless and stay free.